Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Spiritual Grind. We hope you enjoy it, and don't forget to follow, hit the little bell for your notifications when the podcast is posted, and like, follow, and share with your friends. We hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to speak about.
Like, follow, share.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jenny. I'm here. Are you here?
Hi, I'm
here.
I'm here
Yeah, I'm here.
and accountable.
I am here and accounted for, not necessarily accountable.
Oh my. Sounds like you've got some work to do.
I do. I always have work to do. That's okay, though. That's why we are humans. But hey, what a cool reality we've created lately.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Jenny. Dr. Jenny's in the house. She's a little behind my cues today, I see. So what a cool reality we've created, though, huh? You know, I was thinking about that in the shower. You know, we recently bought a motor coach. We have recently, got to specifically name it properly. You know, we have created an opportunity in employment that could be lucrative in our employment. I think it will be lucrative if they allow us to get more involved.
Okay.
What are you okaying me for? You don't agree with that? You don't? Okay. I'm not going to talk about it.
Nope.
Okay. And what a reality that, you know, I was thinking about in the shower. It's kind of we're kind of in a cool place in our life to where we have open doors for ourselves.
Mm.
You know, we have a motor coach. We can literally get in the motor coach and go anywhere we want to. We can choose it. It's that balance thing for me. We can choose to stay. We can choose to go. It opens and makes things feel a little better for me.
I see.
And it's kind of a cool reality we have created.
Mm.
Why are you just staring at me weird?
I'm listening to you talk. Why do you have such a
I don't know. You're giving me a complex.
complex?
I'm like,
I'm
golly.
sitting here listening to you conversate.
You know, we have an awesome life, really. You know, and that's where I was at in the showers. We're very grateful today, I think, more than anything, of how we're moving in the right direction and what I feel our future endeavors are. You know, our business is having more appointments. You know, there's things going on that I really enjoy. The podcast is doing good.
Yeah.
You know, everything that I like in life is getting better, including my wife.
What was wrong with me to begin with?
Well, you know, you did have they've never seen you before out there. You know, they don't know that you kind of look like that guy on that movie back in the 70s. I'm kidding.
They don't. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
What was it called? Elephant Man.
Wow.
I'm just playing. No, I have a beautiful wife, and you're currently kicking the crap out of that stuff on your face, and I enjoy it that you're doing it.
Oh, you mean the ugly that I was born with?
Yeah. Yeah, you're wiping it off better every day.
Or just
you are not ugly by any means.
Learning how to contour it.
Is that what it is? Your makeup's gotten better? Your makeup talents? But, you know, I'm just in a grateful place. And I'm very thankful for what I have and who I am and what I've become over the years. And I have a lot to thank you for. And I'm just being grateful.
I see.
I'm being grateful today.
Nice place to be.
It is. And
gratitude will take you in profound places.
I agree. And my gratitude, I express, you know, just, I think I kind of internally express my gratitude, and I wonder how other people do and what's the benefits of doing it openly or doing it internally?
What does internally mean?
Internally?
Oh, internally.
Are you being judgmental again? Here we are. Every podcast. Now you're judging my herbology now. I'm playing. No, would you all please tell her to quit picking on me? Just put a comment, something.
I was just making sure I understood what you said.
I'm just playing. Well, because I'm not the guy that walks up and says thank you all the time or tells my higher self thank you all the time. I kind of do it internally with that inner voice, and I want to express my gratitude and make sure that my higher self and you and me and I'm very pleased with where we are right now.
Do you thank your body?
I do. Thank everything. My podcast though is, what does gratitude do for your energy? And how can you continue to grow that good feeling of gratitude? That's my podcast subject today. So this is where you take over. Have a good day.
Well, I think it's different for everybody. Gratitude has a very, very vibrational frequency when you stop and
collaborate and listen.
Yes.
Okay.
And reflect on the appreciation or gratitude for where you're at and what you're doing and what you've accomplished and what you've achieved. It will toggle many perspectives in a positive way, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a very, very high vibrational place to get to. There's different levels of it.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
That life is sectioned. For me to understand things, I section it into what I call the pie of life.
Okay.
And each category has its own little...
Oops. Pardon me.
Wow. Not once, but twice. Back to back.
Each category has its
own slice of pie. So you can have gratitude in whatever slice of pie or topic and not necessarily have achieved it in other areas. But being able to have awareness of the gratitude and the frequency of that in whatever area will automatically raise your vibration. So it is definitely a good practice to have.
I agree.
I think the ultimate goal would be to get to a place where you can find the gratitude in all areas, because that takes your whole body and your whole mind and your whole energy as a whole to a different frequency. Then in turn, that will begin to create a whole different reality because you're at a different frequency.
Yes.
So gratitude's really high up there, right along with, joy and excitement.
Yes. So here's where, we were in a business conference. We just got back late last night. And in the business conference, there were these things they call breakout meetings. And in one of those meetings, he talked about the 8 steps of a servant leader. And
I think there should be 9, but that's just me.
And what should be 9?
Well, I think number 1 should be self.
Self. I agree.
Because if you're depleted or you're not taking care of your own beliefs, patterns, and programs, then you're going to not evaluate and respond to the outside situations, circumstances, and events in the highest and best way that you probably could. You're going to be more emotionally reactive.
I agree.
If you're not taking care of yourself, if you're overtired because you're not getting enough rest, if you're not maintaining work-life balance and you're working overtime because you can't get everything done in a day that you wanted to, and you're not taking self practices into play and really putting in a self-practice of keeping yourself happy, whole, and balanced, then it's going to be very hard to accomplish those 8 things because you're not going to have patience. You're going to be triggered very easily and triggered in an emotional way. And whenever you're triggered in those lower vibrational emotions, you will then go into a spontaneous reaction rather than a thought through response. And that can sometimes accelerate an already lit situation rather than being able to,
instead of de-escalate, it'll escalate.
Put the flames out or take the flames away.
Servant leadership is not just for others, it's for yourself as well.
Yeah, in a lot of those things, servant leadership was defined as taking care of other people.
Right.
But I think that the number one key thing is to remember is that we're people too.
Yeah.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, how the hell can we take care of somebody else?
Right. Well, in the first.
I'm sorry. Can we just acknowledge if we don't take care of ourselves, how the hell can we take care of somebody else?
No, I totally agree with you. I did acknowledge it already. I totally agree with it. I mean,
I just felt the need to repeat.
You are correct. I think taking care of yourself should be number one. But in those steps, the first one he said was a good listener. And I think that applies to us as ourselves as well. And this is where I'm kind of in that place of, you're right. It's time to listen to ourselves and say, thank you for doing this, or, hey, I need to work on this, and have the complete 100% reciprocated thought within your own being and being a listener. Because if you can't listen to yourself, how you can listen to others?
Well, yeah, because how easy would it have been, and I think here's what I'm trying to convey. When you're in the shower and you're doing your contemplation, aka meditation, whatever, then instead of being able to recognize that feeling of appreciation or gratitude, how easy is it, even if you are grateful and you have that small fleck of gratitude in the moment, if you're inundated with all of the tasks and the chores and the humanness of life and work and family, how easy would it be to skate right over that and ignore it and not acknowledge it and not just stop for a minute and smell the proverbial roses and really honor the gratitude? It would have been very easy this morning to, be in there, washing your hair, washing your body, have that sensation come across you briefly and ignore it and not really give it its due because you're thinking about,
because you're not listening to yourself,
what all you've got to do, right. And you're not really giving your ears to yourself or your body. Or how often has it been that you're exhausted and you know that the time clock has run out and you keep saying, okay, but if I just do one more hour, I'll get this project done. Instead of being able to say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm going to clock out and I'm going to go get some rest. And that will be there tomorrow because there are no night paper fairies that come in and handle the pile of paperwork. And guess what? You get there in the morning and that pile of paper is still there waiting on you.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I totally agree with you.
We have a new voice.
Do we have a new voice
door.
Who's that?
I'm not. I'm not sure if it's Orb or Willow, but someone has learned to communicate at the studio door.
Just like the other cat.
So we recently had a cat sitter when we went on our business trip to the Carolina. I never can remember North Carolina. Or South, so I just called it the Carolina. And I didn't convey the assignment. So in the studio, we have one of our cats that is
special needs.
Yeah, special needs, I guess is the best way to put it. She gets to come in here to have like a reprieve from everybody else because she kind of gets picked on. But I said, she's the only cat that gets to come in. So when we came home late last night, he had the studio door cracked. So now all the other cats know what it is like in here.
Yeah.
So I wonder if
And the area's been violated.
it's very calm in here.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stones, lots of noise reduction. And so now they've all experienced it. So now everybody wants to come in.
Everybody wants to in the studio.
All the cats want to come in and meditate in the space. So we have a new cat voice for the editor.
Yeah, that would be Orb.
At the door.
Yep. I think it's Orb. And so being a good listener was the number one thing. And I think that applies to ourselves and others. But if we don't listen to ourselves and we skip over even the little things,
yeah,
it can compile.
It
and
can
make you not a good listener at all. And like you said, and change your emotional structure that will make you react in ways that you wouldn't normally react.
Right.
And number two in that was empathy and understanding, having empathy for others, having an understanding for other people's feelings and emotion. And that applies with listening. And I think, being empathetic to yourself is just as important as it is for others.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that because if you're overtired, or you've put in a lot of hours that week for a company, for example, and you're exhausted.
Yes.
Your empathy will be covered up by almost a resentment.
Yes.
Why should I be empathetic to you? I am exhausted and I've put in 40 extra hours this week to get this project done. Who's in line to be empathetic for me?
Right.
Instead of saying, this can really wait and I'm really tired and I need to go take care of myself, then that resentment can easily be dissolved or maybe never even be created, which then gives space for you to be not a victim, but an empathetic service individual to others because you've given yourself the same permission.
I agree. I totally agree. And the understanding part of that is understanding that it's just an important thing to create balance within our own emotions.
Yeah.
To be able to be a leader for others.
Right.
And
if they see that you're doing self-care,
they will too.
Then I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're going to preach it, but then not do it, that's seen as well.
Oh, no, totally.
If you're not taking care of your own, but you're preaching it and it's not evident by your actions and your behaviors, it's going to be hard for your crew, whether it be family, work, whatever, to trust and follow your leadership if you're a hot mess.
Totally agree. Because number 3 on that was to foster healing or because in the presentation he didn't actually go all the way down the list for everything, but the number 3 he skipped over a couple of them because number 3 is fostering healing on the process of the servant leader, and that is the same thing. You foster the spot. Listen to yourself. You have empathy for yourself, like you just said. We say this all the time. Actually, you say, "I'm going to go take a nap," and that's okay. Because that's having empathy for yourself.
Well, yeah, even at work, if I have an employee come and say, hey, can I grab some overtime so that I can reorganize?
Yeah.
I will say to that person, okay, well, what has your work-life balance look like this week?
Yeah.
How many of your life hours have you already devoted to work? And is it time to take a break? And can that wait till next week?
Right.
And I don't make anybody do anything.
Stop and
I recommend strongly that they stop and look at it by bringing it to their awareness.
Right.
And I think being a manager in not only work life, but in a partnership with a friend or an intimate partner, such as a significant other or spouse, I think that is a key role to have. Is if you see that an individual is not honoring themselves within it, especially if their personality is beginning to show signs of tired, stressed, resentment, whatever.
Well, you've said that to me.
I think it's our job to stop and bring it to their awareness, no matter what the...
You're working too much. Take a break.
Yeah, no matter what the venue is, whether it be at work or in a marriage, in a relationship, as a friend, I think it's our duty to say, hey, that can probably wait till tomorrow because you're kind of showing some signs of aging.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's almost like you're reading the list, because the next part of it is building a sense of awareness of every, you build that sense, you build that community, you build that dialogue of what the next steps are in life. And I think that you're like you're following the line, even though I think understanding should be before fostering healing, because for you to foster healing, you got to kind of understand where people are. Like you said, you ask the questions when somebody comes to you in overtime. Before you answer that question, you want to make sure you have an understanding of what they have going on.
Or yourself.
Right. I totally agree. And
well, I am a channel.
I agree.
As are you and anybody else.
And when you build an awareness of...
Where's the remote?
What do you mean the remote?
I'm a channel.
Oh. Yeah.
Where's the button?
Oh, wrong button. That was the wrong button. Hang on.
We need the want one. Yeah.
That was a bad dad joke. That was a bad dad joke. My inner being is saying, oh my God, did that really just come out? But you threw me off for a loop there. And so building the awareness of each section of this as you go, it's going to, when you do it for yourself and others, creates that balance. And when you, through our teachings and our guidance as leaders, we should be establishing a pattern of growth.
Yeah. So can we back up a second?
Sure.
Because what I hear currently, there's a couple of questions out in the collective. So what if you are that hourly employee, such as like a housekeeper,
okay,
who has to come in, clock in specific hours of the day, and even if they are extra tired or needing to provide some self-care, but they've got to go to work and they've got to be accountable for the number of hours they are committed to giving, how can they modify their reality to eke out rest without calling in or without not showing up to work?
Well, what I have discovered.
What about us, the little people? What if we can't just call in and not go to work for a mental health day?
Well, that's
what I hear conversating out there.
A mental health day. That's funny. I think the part of that is that fostering awareness, and they have to make themselves aware of their time off. Because the reality is they only spend a third of their day with us.
Yeah.
And if they are that tired, then they spend 16 hours away from here.
Right. And that would be what I would suggest is if there's areas of your pie that you can't really modify, like, a regular hourly employee can't really change the way their day looks at work.
Right.
Once they clock in, those hours are delegated to the company construct.
Yeah.
But what they can do is they can modify their home life.
Yes.
Spend a little bit of extra time giving yourself permission to rest and relax doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that you can recoup some of that energy.
I mean, even we do that. We do it all the time.
Dishes can wait.
Yeah, the dishes aren't.
Nobody's going to die if the dishes don't get done.
The world's
today.
not coming to an end if there's a stack of dishes in the sink.
Give yourself permission to go veg out and watch your favorite TV show, because that's what gives you back that moment of mind relaxation or physical body relaxation. Find areas where you can do that. If you find yourself extra tired, make a vow to yourself that you're going to let the dishes wait and go to bed early and get some extra rest.
Well, that falls right into the empowering growth because, if we're humanly exhausted and we're not identifying or have empathy for ourselves or listening to our body, then you're gonna drain it. You're gonna get tired humanly, not energetically. Humanly, you will get tired.
Yeah.
And when you get tired, when you're empowering the people as leaders to understand and have a greater perception of what their life is like, that is growth, and that's where the empowering growth side is, because you're empowering yourself. And we give permission through identification. We do it all the time. We tell people all the time, well, let's do this. Let's try this, or whatever that is.
But you don't understand. I have to go home. I've got 3 kids. I got to cook supper. And if I don't do the laundry, it piles up. And I just don't have time.
I understand. You have 16 hours off, though.
What is your advice to me?
My advice to you is to figure out simple solutions. Do laundry.
What if I'm too inundated in the concept that I can't?
Well, I mean, I don't really have a complete answer for that. I'm just telling you.
I do. Pick me.
Okay, Dr. Jenny.
Right. So I want to remind you that empowering the kids to have some independence is a constant thing. And it makes them feel really, really good when you say to them, okay, listen up. You guys are responsible for supper. And supper then becomes, instead of this big, huge meal that you have to cook and prepare, let them make supper and make a fun game out of it. Even if it ends up being peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
Let them do that, and they get such a level of prowess and independence from
responsibility.
Hey, we cooked supper.
Yeah, we made supper for everybody, and everybody enjoyed it.
You might even have that be a once a week or twice a week thing, but have no opinion or expectation as to what it looks like. Right. And so if supper ends up being popcorn out of the microwave and Reese's Pieces, you got to embrace that, especially if they're happy and joyful about having.
Makes them feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. Like your actions sometimes being modified by yourself on how things should work will actually bring such a level of joy to others, and looking at that. And so by having the kids do supper, lets you just take that snippet of time where you can relax.
Yeah.
And it gives them such a pleasure to help. Yeah. And then what you're cultivating is they got joy out of it.
Next thing you know, they're asking you, can I do supper tonight, Mom? Can I do supper tonight, Mom?
Well, then whenever they become teenagers, that's logged as such an enjoyable thing that they do. They'll mark that off their calendar. They'll mark that day off their calendar that, hey, on Fridays we cook supper for our parents or for the family or whatever. And it will cultivate a tradition in the family.
When I'm having issues with time management, I used to train this as do less more. And because this used to drive me nuts. My daughter would let her laundry pile up for the entire freaking week.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, she's got 2 freaking piles or 3 loads of laundry she has to do on a Saturday. And when I would tell her, if you were to just take the basket when it gets full, throw it in the washer, throw it in the dryer, get it done, then you're doing less more often, but it doesn't take up your entire Saturday.
Right.
And then, same thing with employees. Don't let your work pile up on you to where you end up having to work. Stay less more.
Yeah, and there's just one other perspective about that concept in the work world is really look at your plate.
Yeah.
Are you taking on somebody else's task?
Yeah.
because either A, you have a belief that says if it's going to be done right, I have to own it and do it myself.
Right.
And you're not letting that person fulfill their job description. Or B, are you allowing that person to be a manipulator?
Right.
Of pretending like they don't do it correctly or don't know how. And so you're doing it yourself rather than teaching them or re-educating them on how to do it, and then putting it back in their court to go forth, young man, and show me how you can get this done.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're reading my thing, because the next step of that is assistance in conceptualizing the reality.
Yeah.
And that is what it is, because here are some proven things about the labor force. One is the 15 minutes after that 15-minute break is useless. And if you're taking a 20-minute break, a little extended break, you're extending that time, because it takes people a little bit of time to get going back into work. Well, that's why most people require everybody to be at work 15 minutes early, because of that concept.
Right.
And the more you do it, the better you get at it. But if you can help people to conceptualize, that little extra 5 minutes you spend on TikTok on your break, that puts you over your break time, is actually prolonging, your day, because you're not working for that 5 minutes. And those little things add up. That less more, it all adds up. And if assisting in people to conceptualize their reality, we as managers and we as people have to do that for ourselves and for others.
Yeah. And I think it's a good thing to teach, and obviously a conservative way. And I'll use our employees, for example. If they're taking that extra 5 minutes, it's beneficial to go and explore that. And why are they? Mm-hmm. And it could be that they're overfilling their plate. So in our housekeeper situation, we provide housekeeping once a week to our residents. Is that housekeeper going in and they're over providing what we call light housekeeping by doing extra tasks, and it's making their day feel over full, like they can't achieve their mile markers. And so it's exhausting them or making them overtired. So teaching them the same concepts. Look at your plate.
Yeah.
Have you overfilled your plate because you have some belief that you've got to be an overserver?
Right.
Because independence and life purpose are important no matter what age you're at.
100% agree.
And finding those moments where you hold people accountable for the things they should and could be doing for themselves, even if they don't want to, sometimes is the healthiest way to go about it.
Totally agree.
And not being the fixer of all things.
Don't be an enabler. Yeah, becoming an enabler of bad things.
Society calls it enabler, codependent.
Yeah.
Don't play in those worlds, but
you shouldn't do that anywhere in life. With your spouse, with your employers, with your employees, you should not be codependent in any direction, because we're self-sustained beings.
Right.
And if something is taking our independence away, it is unhealthy. Right. If something is taking our ability to fend for ourselves and have a purpose, then that is unhealthy.
Right. Which is very different than co-creating.
Totally agree.
Co-creating is much, much different than codependent.
Right. Yep. I totally agree. And that's part of that conceptualizing their reality, is making them understand that life, when you can't make excuses for life when you're creating a harder life out of your own choices. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to listen to yourself. You got to be able to empathize with yourself and say, why am I doing this if it's not required of me? Why am I doing this if it doesn't feel good?
Right. Exactly. And you said it perfectly right. Why am I doing it? Looking at yourself.
That's right.
First, to see what patterns, beliefs, programs you may be running that would cause you to react or act in that way to create that situation, because we create our own reality. And that's a very, very good example of how we create our own reality.
Yeah.
It's not that that person did it to you. It's that you inadvertently, by being unaware, have created a situation where your plate may be over full
Yes.
because you inadvertently created a codependent situation, because you have a belief that in order to be a good person, for example, I got to be an overachiever, or, whatever.
Or they're concerned about what it looks like for them later in life if they don't do something. And
Right.
the reality is that's no two of us are alike. And when we do something that creates a codependent nature,
Yeah.
then it becomes a negative habit. And when you create that habit, it can become difficult to actually see what you've created.
Right. Which is where we come in.
That's what we do, right?
The Merck Centers.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
We work with clients all the time, and we have appointments open and available.
Yeah.
In person, mobile, via phone.
Yeah, totally with you.
That help people be able to look at that and see that.
Yeah, the next step is foresight and planning. And so when you can see that, when we as servant leaders to ourselves and others, when we can bring to somebody's reality what the conceptualization of their reality, then we can assist in planning and having foresight on future behaviors where you don't create those bad habits, but you create good habits.
Right, which brings it all the way back around to that then feeds into a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, but more a balanced lifestyle.
Right, in a more balanced way. Balanceability.
Which also falls into the next step of that, which is stewardship and own responsibility. And so when we get into stewardship, like you and I constantly do it all day, every day, we are helping people, directing people, making them see their reality where they are. And when you get to the point to where
Does that mean you're passing out drinks on a plane?
Sometimes. Yeah, it depends on if I'm asleep or not. Because if I'm asleep, then I'm passing out drinks on a plane, then I'm dreaming.
What is stewardship. What is that?
Guiding somebody. It's like a personal guide. A steward helps people through things.
Oh.
And when they get to a point to where we've made them, we went through each one of these steps. We've learned to listen to ourselves and others. We've learned to have empathy and understanding for ourselves and others. Then we start getting to a healing process. Mm-hmm. And we start building the structure within us to think in different ways that creates a balance, and it empowers us empowers them and us to have growth and opportunity within that thought process. And when you have growth and opportunity, it really empowers you to be more of that individual that sees the whole picture.
Yeah.
And then because we assist with conceptualizing reality and the vision of what their future looks like, they get a better understanding of it and can actually work through processes daily in a much easier and more precise way.
So what was the last one? Stewardship and what?
No, then the next one is the foresight and planning, where they have a better foresight of their reality and they plan better. They don't take that extra 5 minutes on their break. They do less more. They become more balanced within it, because now they're doing this stuff a little bit here, a little bit there. It's a whole lot easier to swallow a small pill than it is a great big one. And so when you're doing a little bit of this, you're doing less and more through planning and the foresight of your reality, then you can become empowered more and become responsible for your reality.
I think.
And a steward to others.
I think in the foresight part of it, reminding people that one of the key components of that is if you don't know how, don't hesitate to communicate.
Totally.
And utilize the resources and ask how.
Yes.
Hey, I've got this situation. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Do you have any suggestions?
Clear and concise communication.
Whether it be your partner in your personal life, whether it be a best friend,
your boss,
a coworker, your boss,
neighbor,
your manager,
your child.
Don't be hesitant to go and ask for help, because nowhere in the book of life, which doesn't exist, by the way, does it say in there?
Oh man, we don't have a handbook for this.
No.
Damn it. I need some SOPs for life.
The handbook for the dearly departed.
Standards of operation for our life. We need those.
That was from a movie, by the way.
What?
The handbook for the dearly departed.
Oh, that was from a movie. Wow, what was that movie? Hang on, I got it. Beetlejuice?
Yay! Yeah. Give yourself a round of applause, man.
Yay! I have some movie questions I answered. Yay!
For those of you that are joining us newly, we give James a hard time because he has no movie trivia knowledge that sticks in his head.
I just don't contain that knowledge for some reason.
So we make fun of him because it's quite fun.
Yeah, they do.
Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand.
And you know, the last step of this is clear and concise communication.
Can I just back up a bit?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not to badger it down, but don't forget to ask for help.
Totally.
And stay in that humility and humble place that you don't know everything. None of us do.
No.
And so always be a student
of life.
And
everything.
And utilize your resources. I know that I've heard you say some rich, successful person said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And what was meant by that is I don't have to know everything. I just have to know who to call.
Right. Well, that was the now president once said in a seminar I went to, that I'm smart enough to know to surround myself with people smarter than me.
Oh, Humpy Trumpy.
Yeah, Humpy Trumpy. And he, great businessman. He has some great knowledge back then. And I think in particular one is actually will kind of tie into this, because he said he discovered how to look smarter. How do you say it? I discovered how to look smarter by having people around me that are smart.
Yeah, and if you can think about it, if you are I'm going to loop it back around.
Use your tools. Yeah, use your tools.
I'm going to loop it back around for you.
Come on, you got it.
And you're going to love it.
Perfect.
If you think about it, if you are a servant, and every one of us is, no matter the level of employment or relationship type that you're in, if we're all servants of each other and of ourselves, if you stop and realize, hey, I'm not educated in this, but who can I reach out to? You may very well reach out to that person and find out that they absolutely love sharing their knowledge.
Yes.
But they were a little hesitant because maybe they were running a belief that says, oh my gosh,
nobody wants to hear me.
Who's going to want to hear what I have to say?
Yeah.
And by you reaching out to them and saying, you know what? Hey, I know you have a lot of knowledge in this area. Can you help me figure this out? I need a solution. It's jamming me up. Then you've just given them the opportunity to fulfill perhaps their joy and excitement.
And their opportunity to become a servant leader.
And that changes their vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
And that is then in turn truly the definition of being a servant, because now you've given them the opportunity to turn around and reciprocate being a servant to you,
Love it.
Which then reciprocates that high vibrational energy of we just like to help. We like to help because that energy, that frequency, it is very high
and it
feels good.
Yeah, it makes you very grateful, like we started out with.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's great. I think that was a great podcast. Do you feel complete?
Did you go back to the last one?
The last one, clear and concise communication?
Yeah, let's visit that one for just a sec. There's some
Okay.
collective questions
Okay.
that are going to
Shoot.
come up.
Shoot. Give it to me.
Bang, bang, you're dead. Brush your teeth and go to bed. You don't remember saying that as a child?
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever heard that in my life. What kind of childhood did you have? Bang, bang, you're dead. Brush your teeth and go to bed. What?
I don't know. That's just some little rhyme we made up. And when somebody said, shoot. Okay, I'm batting zero. I'll keep my day job.
Yeah.
Comedian, I am not. I thought it was
What
quite
an
comical.
odd rhyme. Anyway, go ahead. Clear and concise communication.
Yeah, clear and concise communication. Do you have anything?
Well, we
to
preach it
add?
all the time. We preach clear and concise communication all the time to ourselves, to others, because
But if you
when
think
we
that you're
create-
being clear and concise and you're really not, what would be evidence of that?
well, obviously, if you get no response in a positive manner from your communication, or if the things, because here's the problem with clear and concise communication, and then here's the positive. When you clear and concise communication to a individual, another person, on the proper level that they communicate, it will be much more successful. And when you clear and concise communicate to somebody not on their level, it'll be a blank slate, and they will not accomplish what you want to do. And you have to identify their communication levels.
Not understanding the assignment.
Now that, yeah, they would look at you and go like if I went up to a nurse and said, "Hey, the nuclear reactor is going to blow up in 10 minutes. Would you go fix that?" That nurse is going to have zero clue what the hell to do. And so it's about a level of communication on the same level, and taking yourself to that spot for them, and within the communication, concisely communicating at their level, whatever that is, in their way, to for them to have a better understanding.
Right. And remembering that nonverbal communication is a form of communication as
Correct.
well,
Yep.
or the lack of it. And I'll give you an example. Our assistants now have a code word that says communicating.
Yeah.
Because we go and we serve coffee to our residents as our way of kind of mingling with them and getting out in the community. And what was happening, I guess, apparently on their shifts between the administrative assistant and the two assistants is that they had one or individual or two that weren't paying attention visually to when the other one went back to go and do the coffee at the time that it's supposed to be done. And they then ended up doing a majority of the dining room
By
coffee,
themselves, yeah.
and it was aggravating to them to be the only one doing coffee.
Yeah.
So then they stopped and had a communication session and brought that to the awareness of the other one or the other two who weren't even aware that they were doing it.
Yes, totally agree.
And so making sure that
They're
if
engaged.
you've
Yeah.
got somebody that is not participating in something, it could be that it could be the situation like I just explained. They're not doing it on purpose because they want to pile the crap on you.
Right.
They just may not be as observant
Or as aware, or
of their reality as perhaps you are.
Totally agree.
And so don't hesitate to communicate and clarify every single situation, even if it is a topic that you find challenging to talk about.
Yes.
Just find a way to talk about it in a softer way or in a more empathetic way.
Well, I teach.
Or find a mediator that can help you talk about it.
Yeah. We teach, or I just recently taught in one of the sessions, that when you're having issues with a communication with a coworker, a significant other, a spouse, or whatever, it's okay to create a word that draws attention. It's the fact that they're saying, "I'm communicating."
Yeah.
It's not a fact of the word or what it is. It's about identifying and getting their attention with a word.
Well, I think what happened first is that the person identified that it was bugging them.
Yeah.
And creating a perception that they didn't care for.
Agreed.
And not buying into the monkey mind lie of they just are lazy and don't want to do anything. And so they're piling all this stuff on me. You could very easily buy into that statement and run that lie
without clear and concise communication.
If you didn't really have an ability to look at the situation, because it may be that they're not doing it to you. They just are not as aware or as observant. And it is okay to bring things to people's awareness.
Totally agree.
Just do it in a compassionate way.
Totally agree with this. I feel good.
And it doesn't just encompass individuals. It could be companies.
Yeah. No, I agree.
You could very easily, write up an email to the person above you in a very professional way. If you saw that a process wasn't working and you saw that you have a solution that you've kind of tried out and it's working, you could formulate an email on a company level.
Yeah.
Making and putting it in a suggestion box. Don't hesitate to put things out there.
Totally agree.
And have clear, concise communication on a corporate level or on a group level either.
Totally agree with you.
So
we're on the same page. Hey, I think that was a really good summation of leadership to others and yourself.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Because if you communicate with yourself concisely, then, it just, you just go right back through the steps.
Right.
And it's a rinse and repeat type thing.
And it brings it all the way back to gratitude and appreciation.
Yes, totally agree.
It's always good to stop and have that communication.
Brings it right back to gratitude. Yep.
That's right.
It'll make your life easier, and so you'll be more grateful into your reality.
Remember to tell yourself how grateful you are of yourself.
Yes, and the reality they create. Great.
I'm so grateful that my lungs breathe for me. I don't have to think about it.
I know, right? Can you imagine having to think about breathing?
Right.
It's like, man, you'd be like, your entire day would be breathe.
You wouldn't hardly get anything done.
Right, you wouldn't. You'd be thinking about that all the time. But anyway, hey, if y'all like what you hear, like, follow, and share. We appreciate you all tuning in every week to the Spiritual Grind. And don't forget to look at our website, www.themerckcenters.org. And you can also look up our social media, and it's at the Merck Centers. Like, follow, and share if you really do like it. But leave us a comment, drop us a call, give us an email, whatever. You can get all that on our website.
You can ring the bell too.
For what?
Notifications.
Get the notifications when we upload things.
Yeah.
Hey,
sure.
Thank you all for listening, and everybody have one awesome day.
Love you.